Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next-gen e-commerce search and product discovery solutions for forward-thinking retailers and wholesalers panel discussion. My name is Megan Billingsley, and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion. Before getting started, we have a few simple housekeeping matters for our viewers. At the bottom of your screen, you'll find some application widgets for your use. These widgets are all resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to optimize your desktop space. The slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. To enlarge the slides, click the Enlarge Slides button in the top right-hand corner of your presentation window. We encourage you to submit questions at any time throughout the presentation using the Q&A widget. We will try to answer your questions during the webcast, but if a fuller answer is needed, or if we run out of time, it will be answered later on via email. Please know we do capture all questions, and we want to make sure you receive an answer. I'm excited to be joined today by three leaders and experts in the retail digital space. First up, we have Noah Freeman, Senior Product Manager, Google Cloud AI. He is the lead product manager for Google Cloud Retail Search, a position he accepted after spending a year managing search quality R&D for the same solution. Next, we're joined by Arv Natarajan, Director of Product, Group Buy. Arv heads up the product team at Group Buy, helping to craft the vision and direction of the Group Buy product discovery platform. And last but not least, we have Stanislav Stolpovsky, Head of Search Practice with Grid Dynamics. Stanislav brings to this discussion over 12 years of experience developing product discovery systems for prominent retailers. So these days, e-commerce is all about convenience. Today's modern shoppers have evolved in both attitude and behavior as they shift towards digital channels. They expect a frictionless omni-channel experience. This means that they want to find products easily, regardless of the platform that they're using, and they want the site experience to be personalized to them. Both B2C and B2B buyers are increasingly leveraging digital platforms. Recent research from Incisive reveals that 93% of all shopping journeys now start online. And so it's evident that digital experience is king when it comes to online shopping. It's really not just about offering the best deal, but rather about creating the most frictionless experience that equates to convenience. Today, our panelists will be talking about the importance of next-generation e-commerce search and product discovery and how it relates to improving product findability while helping retailers and wholesalers combat challenges that contribute to stats like 2 trillion lost each year from search abandonment globally. 78% of consumers view a brand differently after experiencing search difficulties. 82% of consumers avoid websites where they experienced search difficulties in the past. For today's discussion, we'll start off by looking at Google, followed by Group Buy, and then Grid Dynamics. However, you will be hearing from all three speakers throughout this panel discussion. So with Google up first, that means, Noah, we will start with you. We're hearing that the search bar is a retailer's most important online asset. So why is search so critical, specifically for e-commerce retailers right now?
So, I mean, the big driver is just volumes, right? You see is depending on the category, search can drive between half and 80% of purchases online. So, you know, it's obviously that percent varies by industry, with higher in things like home improvement and lower in things like fashion, where there's more browse-centric behavior. But in general, it is probably the single leading driver of product discovery and purchases on most e-commerce websites.
Just from my own experience, I would have to say I agree. That is very key. Noah, what are the pain points and costs of bad search?
I think there's really two issues. One, the one that people are most aware of on the e-com side tends to be low relevance, meaning I type something and I get other things. And that is certainly the most obvious pain point. The second pain point, which is actually a bigger dollar cost, but less easy to notice on your site, is I search for something, I see things that are relevant, but I'm just not seeing the revenue maximizing versions of it. So for example, you know, I search for dress, I get dresses, but the top row of dresses are unattractive, mispriced, not on sale, not from trending designers. So while it's easy to see relevance problems on search, just as large a problem, but harder to notice, is ranking problems, where you're showing things that were asked for, you're just not showing the best ones on top.
Great. No, those are excellent points. Thank you. Can I ask you then, folks likely know Google search. I mean, so many people use it. We're all familiar with it. But what is Google Cloud Retail Search and how is it different?
Yeah. So let me sort of talk about where in the family tree this fits. So you have Google search, which finds web pages. You have Google shopping search, which finds products but displays them on Google. Cloud retail search is a fork of Google shopping, but is designed for running on third-party e-commerce websites as white label search. So this is a search engine that e-commerce vendors can use either directly from us or through our partners like GroupBuy. And it is, branded as theirs. It's on their website. It runs on their catalog, but it uses Google search technology to present super high relevance results and high quality ranked results with the revenue maximizing products on top.
Excellent. Thank you. I love how basically it's just sort of like invisible then to the shopper. All they get to experience is this seamless search experience. It's great. What makes next generation Google Cloud Retail Search different from legacy search solutions?
Great. So let me actually present sort of a slide on that and talk about how what we think of as different generations of search work. So we think of there being really two generations of search. There's Gen 1 search, which are either the pre-AI search technologies like Solar and Elastic, and we'd also include sort of Gen 1 plus AI bolt-ons as also Gen 1 search fundamentally. Then we think of Gen 2 search, of which the only one in the market is Cloud Retail Search. So let's talk what it means to be a Gen 1 search versus a Gen 2 search product. So Gen 1, first, let me talk a little bit about what terms you have to understand in search. You want to think of search as having two challenges. There's relevance and ranking. Relevance is finding the right products. Ranking is saying, okay, I've found the right products, then we put them in the right order. So when you think about Gen 1 search, they tackle relevance by counting words. So how it works is you type in short sleeve, long dress, and Gen 1 search goes through your catalog counting words, and it says, wow, if these words show up more often, this is more likely to be a short sleeve long dress. So you have word count relevance. Word count relevance is okay if you're searching for brand names, like Nike running shoe. It will reliably find Nike running shoes using this word count algorithm. The problem is, as queries become more natural language and less brand specific, word count relevance works terribly. So for example, short sleeve long dress, all the same products have the same word count for short sleeve long dress and long sleeve short dress, but they're very different products. But word count relevance won't tell the difference. Word count relevance also fails when it comes to finding natural language searches like date night dress or healthy snack for a 2-year-old, because there are many healthy snacks for 2-year-olds that don't use the word healthy snack for 2-year-old. And there are many date night dresses that aren't labeled as date night dresses using those words in the catalog, but that they're dresses that people would look at and be like, oh yeah, that's a date night dress. So word count relevance is actually a very weak way of doing relevance because it involves doing counting words, which works very badly for some query types. Then if you think about the next two steps of Gen 1 search, they are personalization and ranking. A Gen 1 search typically doesn't do any personalization because if you're counting words, how do I count words differently for Anne and Bob? Like, I might know that Anne likes green, but there's no real logical way to count words differently for different people. So there's really no way to do personalization in Gen 1 search. And then Gen 1 search also does ranking by descending order of word count relevance. So not only are they doing relevance in a very crude way by counting words, they're then ranking on relevance, which is a very bad way to do ranking. And then as a result, what you tend to see in Gen 1 search is that there are huge amounts of manual overrides required, where someone goes in and says, oh, those aren't short sleeve long dresses, those are long sleeve short dresses. Let me write an override that says, for that query, show these products instead. The challenge is these overrides are often very incomplete, they're often out of date, and they require lots and lots of labor to set up all of these hundreds of thousands of overrides. So let's talk about how Gen 2 search works and how that's different. So Gen 2 does relevance, does everything in this process a different way. So first off, let's talk about relevance in a Gen 2 AI only based thing. So what we do is we don't count words. The way we do relevance is we look at that same query for Google Shopping. And for a decade, short sleeve long dress has been queried in Google Shopping, and people have clicked on some products and not clicked on others. By looking in aggregate across all the products that were clicked for that query and all the products that weren't clicked for that query, we can build a table of what it means to be a short sleeve long dress. And that it typically has the word short sleeve, and it typically has the word long, long dress, and it's a dress. And we can understand what it means to be a short sleeve long dress based on what people have been clicking on Google Shopping. Then what we do is we take our model of what it means to be a short sleeve long dress, and we go to the client's catalog and find the things that look like that. So our relevance, instead of being done by counting words, is done by understanding the query using natural language AI, understanding the product also using AI, and then finding the products that look like the things that customers are looking for. Now, we also have a very different approach to personalization and ranking. So let's talk about personalization first. So in personalization, how we approach it is we have an AI that looks through every shopper's history on this website. It then extracts their preferences and their buying patterns. So it might say, this person buys dog food every 30 days, and it's been day 1 versus they buy dog food every 30 days, and it's day 32, which would mean you want to do very different things with dog food, whether they're overdue or just shopped. We also extract their preferences, meaning here are their favorite brand of dog food. They clearly have a dog. And in dresses, they like green, and in shoes, they like blue, and here are their favorite designers in each category. That's how we do. We extract that personalization, and then that personalization is applied to our expected revenue calculation. And how this works is we have a huge AI that is trained on just this one website's e-commerce activity. And it says, for this query, for each product, for each shopper, what is the expected revenue of each product? So we can say this product, this product might be marginally less relevant than this other product, but it's on sale. It's by a great designer. It's super popular on this query. So we're going to rank. We can calculate it's going to have a high likelihood of being purchased, which means it will have high expected revenue. So our ranking, while Gen 1 search does ranking based on descending order of word count relevance, we do our ranking based on descending order of customized, personalized expected revenue. So we will say we do relevance using AI, we do personalization using AI, and then we do our ranking based on descending order of expected revenue, which is very different from descending order of word count relevance. So that's a brief overview of what separates Gen 2 Google CRS search from Gen 1 legacy search engines.
And really, that's where we've seen a lot of benefit for our customers is when they've replatformed to this new technology, they've been able to really reduce a lot of the effort that's been required to set up a Gen 1 search engine. That's just gone away with this new technology. So they've been able to go live with very few business rules or configurations because this engine just works out of the box. It understands the semantic intent of what the user is looking for, and then it optimizes the results for revenue, like Noah said, which really meets all of the business objectives that a retailer might have. So it's been fantastic working with this technology.
Yeah, and I just want to add to all these Gen 2 capabilities. It actually comes as a package with very rich spell correction technology that put all of these results on very high boost. So spell correction is amazing in this product, and usually around 55% of all traffic that comes into retailers have spelling mistakes, and Google doing a great job handling all this spell correction. So this is one of the key features that we like to highlight for the clients.
That's great. Thank you. And I was even just going back to, you had talked about those overrides with the Gen 1, and I would just imagine with the Gen 2 how much time that is saving by not having to deal, because I would imagine that those can become overwhelming. So Noah, you did mention AI. You've talked a bit about that. I'd like to dig into that a little bit deeper. So can you talk more about the role that AI plays in all of this, both predictive AI and generative AI?
Yeah. So this is an AI-only technology. So all of the competition on the market is either no AI, like Solon and Elastic, or what I think of as bolt-on AI, where they took non-AI products and added some AI afterwards. Google CRS is the first AI-only search engine on the market, meaning that this is there is no non-AI functionality here. Every single stack of this is done by AI. So we have AIs used in natural language processing for query understanding. We have AIs in relevance understanding that help us understand whether this product is a good match for this query. And then we have the really big expected revenue AI that does all the revenue calculations. And we have the personalization AI that extracts taste. We've lost count, but we're well into the 24 range for how many distinct AIs are running in cloud retail search. And all of these 24 AIs are actually merged by yet another AI. So the interesting thing about cloud retail search, not only is it very high performing, it's very low touch, because all of the manual dials that customers might be used to have been replaced by AIs who are much better at managing dials than humans are. Coming back to your question of what types of AI we're using a lot of large language modeling to do query understanding and product understanding and relevance understanding. Right now, we are using all of the large language models in what's called regression modes, which is very unusual. You think of large language models being used in generative mode where they're creating text. That might make sense if you were, say, searching a help desk article. Hey, find me the 5 most relevant help desk articles about this and summarize them. But find me short sleeve long dresses and summarize them isn't a very rational thing to do about products. People don't want AI to talk about products. They want to look at the products. So right now, there's no generative AI running in our top technology, but we are hoping to add that in the form of conversational search in the future, where you could say, I'd like a dress, and then the AI says back, what kind of occasion do you want a dress for? And then you could have a conversation before seeing products. And that's not something we support now, but it's something we hope to support in the future.
To me, I think that's where the future of e-commerce is going, is mimicking the in-store experience. When you go into a store, you'll have a conversation with an associate. Like Noah said, if you're looking for a dress, or if you're going into a hardware store to look at your next renovation for your house, you'll be having a conversation where you may not know the products that you need, and you need someone to help you to find those products. That's where I think Gen AI can really play a large part, is in playing the role of that associate, and at scale where you don't need an actual live associate to be talking to a customer. You can use this technology to have the same conversation and provide that rich shopping experience for the customer.
We also can use the power of generative AI when we're trying to handle query understanding results, when we're not talking about Google Retail Search. Because you can use large language models as a knowledge base, and you can ask like a variety of different questions in different domains area, and the generative AI can help you like to generalize or to get the context from these questions. But in case of this retail search, you already have the system that's working under the hood and works on similar technology, just more efficiently and specialized for retail domain. So in this case, this step needs to be like more thinking how we can like improve and connect all these technologies together.
Those are excellent points. Thank you. And I am excited to hear more about group buy and grid dynamics. But Noah, just from your perspective, can I ask, how is Google Cloud partnering with both to help retailers improve search and product discovery?
Yeah, so Google Cloud is excited to be partnering with both of these teams. And I think the way to think about it is we offer our product in sort of, I think 3 ways might be the way to say it. One is you can directly integrate onto our APIs. That tends to give a certain level of granular control, but also is just a lot of edge effort, where there's a lot of data transformation required to get directly onto our API. That's one option. Another option is to work directly with us, but to use a systems integrator, such as Grid Dynamics or others, who can do a one-time project to enable you on the API. And then the third option is to work with our ISVs, such as Group Buy, where you can work with them as your long-term partner, and then the technology behind their product is Cloud Retail Search, but you're actually implemented on the Group Buy API instead of the Google Cloud API. And each of these are great for different kinds of customers. For a lot of customers who want to get onboarded really quickly and who may have lower levels of technical sophistication, or who also might require a higher level of internal controls from merchandising and a much fancier graphical interface, we would strongly suggest working with an ISV partner.
Excellent advice. Thank you. Before we close out this portion of the panel discussion, Noah, are there any customer use cases or success stories that you can share with our viewers today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the metric we're most proud of is that not only have we gained us in 18 months we've been on the market, a tremendous share of both the US and global e-commerce market, that this product is undefeated in A/B testing. So every single A/B test it's been in, it's won, and it's won by more than enough to justify its cost increase in every single case. So that's something we're very proud of, and we hope to continue as we do go from dozens to maybe hundreds of A/B tests.
Those are great stats. Thank you so much, Noah, for your thoughts. So I'd like to turn the conversation over to Group Buy. So Arv, let me start out by asking you, how does Group Buy fit into a retailer's e-commerce tech stack?
So when you think about a typical technology stack for an e-commerce retailer, there's a few key aspects. One is your enterprise system. So those are your warehouse management system, your point of sale system, your product catalog system, which you hold in your PIM, your product information management system. Those are your enterprise systems. Then you've got your content systems, which are where you have your ratings and reviews, where you have your CMS, where you have your digital asset management systems. Then you have the commerce side of things, which is your shopping cart, your loyalty program, and things like that. And then lastly is product discovery, and that's where Group Buy fits in. So that includes things like search engine itself, the recommendations engine, personalization, merchandising, analytics. All of these things fall under product discovery, and that's where really Group Buy sits, is we provide this one-stop shop for retailers to be able to access all of those systems for product discovery and the needs that come with that part of the technology stack.
Excellent, Arv. Thank you. So can I ask, why would a retailer choose to build their own applications, and when should they consider buying instead?
So that's really the age-old question, isn't it? Build versus buy. I think there's a few key things that retailers should be thinking about. Noah mentioned it as well. If you have a large development team or a large merchandising team and you want to maintain that control over your system, that might be a reason why you would consider going directly to something like the Google platform. And the time to market conversation is an interesting one as well. When you consider how long it takes retailers to go live with a platform like this, our average time to go live with retailers has been around 2 to 3 months, which is quite significantly faster than maybe sometimes doing it yourself directly. So these things like time to market, like lowering your total cost of ownership, these are key considerations when making the build versus buy decision.
I think that's also a great just segue into the next question I wanted to ask you about challenges that you help solve. So what are those e-commerce challenges that Group Buy's platform solves for the B2B and B2C retailers and wholesalers?
The biggest one is product discovery. I mean, you mentioned it at the beginning, e-commerce is all about convenience. Customers want to find the products they're looking for and quickly. This technology with Google, our platform that is added on top of that, helps retailers help their shoppers do that in both B2C and B2B contexts. On the B2B context, when you consider things like custom catalogs or custom pricing, which can be quite complex and at scale difficult to manage, you're dealing with catalogs that might range in the millions. You're dealing with the number of contracts that might be in the hundreds of thousands or more. Then you're starting to run into issues at scale where it's difficult to manage this and also have a technology that provides relevant results that are optimized for revenue. So when you consider these kind of factors, these are the challenges that we can help with. We can make it easier for you to re-platform and take advantage of a technology like this that is cutting edge, it is next generation, instead of having to build it yourself and having to maintain those additional things that are specific to your business. We can help you with that. We can help you with things like data enrichment, for example. The cliche is garbage in, garbage out. If you have bad data, you're going to have bad results, no matter how good the technology is. So we provide a data enrichment service, for example, that lets retailers clean up their product catalog. We can normalize that data, augment it with new information, and provide that rich shopping experience for shoppers, whether it's on the B2C or the B2B side. On the B2B side, especially where you might have very specific information in niche categories like hardware, like electrical products, or if, for example, if you're working with plumbers who need tape versus electricians who need tape, both of those kind of different results are specific to that industry. And so being able to provide relevant results to the right person at the right time is a really an important challenge that Group Buy can help you solve.
Excellent, thank you. We've talked about AI a little bit already today, just getting into, how AI is currently being used, but also the future of what generative AI could bring to us. So how are Group Buy's current customers benefiting from AI-powered search and product discovery solutions?
So like Noah mentioned, the results that we've seen are incredible. When we've gone live with over a dozen customers in the last year or so with this technology, and they've seen fantastic results that have impacted their top line revenue that justifies the investment into something like this. This is maybe a cost increase for them, but the return on investment has been huge. We've been able to affect key metrics like revenue per search or average order value or just top line revenue itself. These numbers are important metrics for all retailers, and being able to affect them with a platform like this, being able to go live with a platform like this in a short amount of time with limited effort, limited resources, that's important, and we believe that the results just speak for themselves, and we're excited to share this with even more retailers as well.
Excellent, thank you. And since you did bring up that return on investment, I'd love to ask, is there anything else that retailers should consider when looking at the value of Group Buy's search and product discovery platform?
I talked about total cost of ownership. That is really something that not a lot of retailers think about all the time when making a decision like this. You've got your development teams, you've got your merchandising teams, and those merchandising teams, for example, on a Gen 1 platform might spend a lot of their time every week configuring the engine. They're adding rules to make sure that the results are relevant for one-off or edge case search terms, and that's not a very efficient use of time. So we are able to solve that at scale with technology like this, allowing merchandisers to then focus on more strategic initiatives, whether it's monetization or growing their catalog or working to increase their marketplace products. There are many other things that merchandisers can be spending their time on instead of search tuning or configuring a search engine. That's really not where merchandisers need to be spending their time. So this is a non-tangible aspect of a platform like this, which merchandisers, which retailers really need to be thinking about.
Excellent, thank you. And before we turn over to Stanislav, I do want to ask you, because we heard from Noah's perspective from Google, but what about from Group Buy's perspective? How do you work with partners like Google Cloud and Grid Dynamics?
So we work with SIs like Grid Dynamics and partners like Google to bring this technology to customers as quickly as possible. One of our goals is to make that time to market, that onboarding onto this platform as quick as possible. And so working with partners like Grid Dynamics helps us to do that. They've done this before many times. They've worked with the technology. They're familiar with the Google platform, and now they're familiar with the Group Buy platform as well. So the ability for us to be able to have partners in the retailers' ecosystems familiar with their technology and with ours makes that process a lot faster, a lot easier, and a lot simpler for all parties involved, including the customer. So we love working with partners like Grid Dynamics and Google.
Fantastic. Thank you, R, for those insights. All right, so to close out our panel discussion, let's take a look at Grid Dynamics. So Stanislav, let me start out by asking, how can enterprises that work with Grid Dynamics get started with next generation search within weeks and not years?
Yes, thank you. So the Google have the API, the Group Buy have a product that built on top of the API, and the Grid Dynamics have the engineers. And until the BART will not be able to write the code for integrations, you still need the engineers to tie this all together. And that's where we step in. And the acceleration point that you mentioned is actually, it's running out of our experience. As Arv mentioned, we did this already several times, and we have the same team in place. We have the experience being shared within the company. We're trying to save and evolve this experience, and every next engagement happens faster and happenings with less issues, with everything done in time, and we have very big portfolio of the projects that we completed. For integration with Group Buy and Google. And in general, we have very big expertise in search. We're working with search for the last 13 years. We done a lot of integrations for Gen 1 engines and we have like very big expertise in this area. So when you start to work with Grid Dynamics, we have a team of engineers who already know this product. You don't need to learn it. You don't need to experiment with this API. You don't need to try to understand how it works and how to put data inside. And that's exactly where you spend a lot of time trying to go back and forth, trying to understand, trying like to bring the engineers up to speed. And we know the learning curve, right? So you start the first project, it's like 5-6 months, you learn everything, you try, you fail, you try again, you succeed. All this back and forth takes a lot of time. Start the next project, instead of 6 months, you have 3 months work. And every like next project is happening like in 2-3 months. And we have already the pipeline and the workflow for building this project. We have a plan. We have approach, we have like a team of subject matter experts who help and supervise these projects. That helps to speed up a lot of time to market, and that's help us to bring the customer satisfaction to the next level.
Excellent, thank you. And I can just imagine the expertise that you and your team bring to the table. What a relief that is to the groups that you're working with. How do you envision the future of retail search, and what technologies or trends will drive its evolution?
So it's definitely everything these days is all about machine learning and neural networks. So we had the revolution a few years ago when the transformers came in place, and people start to experiment, start to make like these things working for retail and for like general search. And we have a new breath for the like overall information retrieval community after these technologies emerged. And lots of these technologies like actually used in this Gen 2 engines. And then we have new revolutions that's happening right now with just big language models. They still not ready for like this area. They're not so fast, not so like adapted to the search technology. But I see that it's all happening like in this area. And I see that using these technologies, we actually can bring the new type of experience for the users. And as like Noah and Arv mentioned already, it's more like in-store experience. When you going into the shop, you're looking for something, you have like your assistants helping you with all these things. So it can come into like next level where people can have like more support when they're doing shopping, when they're doing retail experience. And if they have any questions, they can be speaking not the term that search engine understands, but in terms of like general human language. They can ask the question that they can receive the response. They can have like search results in place. It's all be driven like in this direction to have unified experience of search and conversation altogether.
Excellent, thank you. So really a lot of exciting things that are coming in the future. Can I ask you then, how is Grid Dynamics helping to propel their customers into this exciting future of search technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So this time to market that we spoke, it really brings a new possibilities for the client. So when we step in and when we like integrating this technology, we have a short time to market, and after the product is in production, clients starting to see the boost and the uplift in basic metrics from the beginning. From the A/B test, we see like a huge uplift, and sometimes clients don't even have a patience to wait until the A/B test is completed. They stop it in the middle, saying, "Okay, that's enough for us. We want to switch to Google and drive this experience instead of our existing one." So this technology is amazing, and bringing this technology and adapting this technology faster and with proper integration, that helps the clients a lot. Lots of the problems happening on the integration step, and sometimes when the clients trying to integrate these engines themselves without the product using the internal engineers, they facing a lot of issues. And we helping to resolve these issues from the beginning. We're trying to avoid these issues and bring better quality integration, and that helps to get the maximum of the results from the beginning.
I love when a customer says, "Let's stop the A/B test and let's go to 100%." That's music to my ears.
I'm sure it is. Stanislav, I also like that you brought up some of the issues that may, you mentioned during the duration portion. So what are some of those difficulties that clients may encounter when integrating search technology?
even though the API is public and anybody can go and see it, it's always a challenge to connect internal structure that client have for their own product structure, their own hierarchy and taxonomy for the products, the list of attributes that they have. It's always a challenge to connect all these things together and put in a proper order into Google system. And that's where we see the biggest amount of problems happening inside the client environment, inside the client integrations. And we solving these problems. We know how to map general catalog, and we're trying to understand what's specific for the catalog and the client and how the specifics needs to be treated when they do migration for Google or group by products. And also it's important to understand that all these systems work on the feedback. You have to provide the feedback how the systems behave into the system, so it will continue to learn and continue to improve the results. And this feedback is one of the data streams that you need to set up during integration. And that's like the second biggest opportunity for the fail. If you ingest this feedback with some issues, you're not getting improvements as you expect. So we make sure that you, first of all, put the data in the right format. You have all the fields and all the values mapped correctly. And second, we ensure that the events data, the feedback data, comes into the Google system in the proper order.
Excellent. Thank you. One more question before we move into some audience questions for you. What is the process of assessing the improvement results from the implementation of new discovery technologies?
So it's most common approach is running A/B tests, and most reliable approach in this case. We trying to compare apples to apples, not trying to compare like different types of engagement. And we do preparation for the A/B test. We start to send some portion of the people in the one experience and some portion of the clients into another experience. We make sure that these groups are equal. And then we compare results from existing experience and from new experience driven by Google. And in this case, you can be sure that your new experience that comes by Google and group by actually gives you the boost over existing one. It's also possible to do offline evaluations and some relevancy checks. It can give you a preliminary assurance that the results will be good. And that's what most of the clients want to see before they actually start to put any traffic into the production. But it will not show you how much in the business value, how much in revenue and the click-through you will get in comparing to existing services. It can only give you understanding that this new experience will be working good. So you still have, if you want to get the actual boost, and if you want to get the actual uplift evaluated in some dollar number, you have to run A/B test, and you have to compare existing experience with a new experience, and you need to see them side by side to do the actual evaluation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Noah, Arv, and Stanislav, for that great discussion. We do have some time left, so I'd like to address some of the questions that we've received from the audience. Our first one here, we touched on this a bit, but just let me know if you have anything to add. How is Google Cloud Retail Search different from the Google search that we all know?
The biggest difference is what it runs on for a catalog. So Google Search and Google Shopping run off of the catalog that Google generates by scraping websites. So, for example, Google Shopping doesn't run off the Macy's supplied catalog. It runs off of what we scrape off the Macy's website. Whereas Macy's on-site search, which is powered by Cloud Retail Search, runs off of a catalog that Macy's supplies. So that's the first difference, is what the source of data for the product we show is, whether it's scraping or a client-supplied catalog. The other big difference is that Cloud Retail Search actually has access to a lot more information on the e-commerce websites than Google Shopping does. Google Shopping only knows whether a product was clicked on Google Shopping. It doesn't know whether it was added to cart or purchased, and it doesn't have access to the people's history on Macy's. Whereas, if you're running Cloud Retail Search on Macy's, then Google Shopping, then our engine can see every add to cart and every purchase, so it can optimize not for clicking, but for revenue. And it has access to the whole history of every user on Macy's, so it can do a lot more personalization. So it is in, the three areas it's different is: one is it uses a catalog supplied by Macy's, not scraped off the website. Two is it has access to on-site data from Macy's so that it can optimize for revenue on Macy's instead of just clicks. And three is it has access to histories on Macy's so it can do shopping. And obviously, insert your own name instead of Macy's here. So it doesn't use Macy's data for anyone else. It uses each website's data separately. So it has access to a lot more data. That also brings me to sort of one important note is that Cloud Retail Search customers gain from Google Shopping's expertise. So as Google Shopping has new understandings of what these terms mean, it will benefit the Cloud Retail Search customers. But Cloud Retail Search data is never shared back to Google. So, if your customers have figured out what it means to be, a short sleeve long dress and Google hasn't, Google will not learn it from you. But if Google figures it out first, which it likely will, you will learn it from Google, but Google will not learn from you. So there's a one-way flow of expertise from Google to Cloud Retail Search customers and no flow in the other direction.
And our customers love that as well. They've been able to take advantage of those insights from Google.com, from Google Shopping, and see that take effect on their website with no intervention at all. From day one, we're able to take advantage of those learnings, which is incredible.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Our next question asks, how is Group Buy planning on incorporating ChatGPT into their product?
This is the number one question I get from retailers, from customers, from people that I talk to at conferences and so on. It's obviously top of mind given how much hype there is, I think, around this right now. I mean, there's a few key aspects, and not all of it is hype. I think there is some real nuggets in there that we'll need to be thinking about, and retailers need to be thinking about in order to take advantage of, let's say, GPT type technology, because ChatGPT is a type of it. There are other platforms out there that provide similar technologies, which are really being updated on a daily basis. There's leaps in terms of how this technology functions that's happening as we speak. That people are learning new things about how it works, and there's updates being made to the system. But there's a few key areas that retailers should be thinking about, and that Group Buy is thinking about. So one is in the area of analytics. If we can take in all of this data that we collect on a retailer's website, how do we then derive some actionable insights for merchandisers to then take action? What does that data mean? What should they do about it? What are their top performing categories? What are their poor performing categories? What are the actions they should take to optimize their site for whatever business objectives they might have or whatever metrics they might be measuring? So that's one key aspect of it. Another key aspect that I'm thinking about at Group Buy is, how do we use this kind of technology to improve a retailer's product catalog? We know that retailers can sometimes struggle with bad data. They get that data from their manufacturers, from their OEMs. There are multiple sources for this data, and not all of it can be great. So how do we then use this technology to then improve the quality of data so that retailers can then take advantage of something like ChatGPT or GPT technology?
Perfect. Thank you so much. Our next question asks, what value will Grid Dynamics bring that I can't get from my own team or one of our existing vendors?
Yeah, I already mentioned this. So when you have your internal team and you're trying to adopt the new technology, even if you have the great engineers, they still need to have some time to ramp up. They will do it eventually at some point, but you will be spending lots of time for learning curve for these engineers. And what we bring the engineers that already have this experience, so you don't need to waste the time to educate your own engineers. You can see like how it can be done, and this process will start like much faster. We also have very big expertise in building retail, not only search, but discovery and recommendation experience. We did it a lot, and we did it in the different domains and different areas. And if you want to expand your own system and trying to find the new features that you want to implement, trying to find the new approaches, we can bring this value into your product managers and communicate with them and try like to bring some ideas that can help your business and boost your revenue and metrics.
I mean, I would say typically retailers are not technology companies. They're not thinking about technology the same way that someone like a partner like Grid Dynamics would be thinking about it. So I see a lot of value in bringing that expertise into your teams by taking advantage of a partnership with an SI like Grid Dynamics. You won't be able to get that expertise in-house otherwise. So I think it's important to make sure that you're always forward thinking, that you're keeping up with the latest trends in technology, with the latest architecture approaches or types of technology to fit into your tech stack. It's important to get that expertise from somewhere. And if you don't have it in-house, you can get it from someone like Grid Dynamics.
Great points. Thank you. Our next question asks, when would a company consider Google Cloud Discovery AI or GCRS and working with partners like GroupBuy?
So I would say every retailer should be considering using CRS within the Discovery AI suite, right? The metrics on revenue-based performance have been very, very strong. In terms of how to come to market and whether to use a partner or direct, it's really a question of in-house resources and expertise and speed versus using a partner. So, doing it direct might, in some situations, is cheaper, in some situations is more expensive. It's always a lot more work. And there are, for large clients with big in-house bodies of expertise, going direct may be an option. For smaller clients or for clients that don't have, the dedicated end staff required for this transition, we would definitely suggest working with an ISV like GroupBuy.
Yeah, I mean, I second that. There's not really much more to add. It's a decision that the retailer needs to think about based on exactly that. Do they have the capacity, the capability to go direct? If not, then certainly GroupBuy is one of the options there. And if they do, they need to consider why, if that is something they actually want to spend time and money and resources on, is going direct. Because like Noah said, it is a significant amount of work. And there might be more strategic opportunities that retailers should be focusing on instead.
And also, I want to add that when you have the custom integration, adding new features is always the work from the client side. You have to create the backlog, you have to assign the engineers, and these engineers will be working on this feature. If you're using the product, this product evolving in the parallel of your activities. So you can get just the new features that you want over time whenever they will be included in the new version for the product. It's evolution that's happening in parallel, and you don't need to spend resources to getting new feature over time. And that's one of the advantages to using product instead of the direct implementation.
That's a great point.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think we've got time for one more question. So we'll ask this one. What factors contribute to deciding if a retailer should replatform? What should retailers be thinking about when deciding to replatform?
Yeah, I mean, we've covered this in a little bit, I think, but really the challenges that we described earlier is, are people able to find the products they're looking for? If you have low customer satisfaction, or you know that you're underperforming in certain categories or certain areas because people just can't find the products on your website, it's time to think about a new technology. If you're stuck using the default native search on your e-commerce platform, which typically doesn't come with a lot of options to configure, or it's not based on AI, it's a Gen 1 or even a previous generation search engine, you're really behind and you're losing money. You're leaving money on the table here. We heard the stat at the beginning about the amount of dollars lost due to search abandonment, or the number of customers that leave if they can't find one product on their website. I know I do the same. If I'm not able to find a product within a couple of searches, I'm leaving. I'm going to Amazon. So to avoid that situation, you obviously want to be showing your customers the right product at the right time. And to do that, you need technology like this. And so that's really the biggest factor for when you should be replatforming is are people able to find the products they're looking for? If you have those products, they should be able to buy them. And if they can't, then that's an issue.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We are all out of time for today, but before we sign off, I just wanted to thank you, our audience, for joining us in this panel discussion. If you asked a question during the Q&A that we did not get to, someone will deliver an answer to you via email. Today's webinar will also be available on demand if you want to review anything that we talked about today. Thanks again for watching.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.